Hey guys, Movie Junkie for Life here again, and this is week 2 of my top 5 horror movie picks for the month of October this year. And like last week, I'm looking at subgenres, and that is like, okay, like most other films, you have action, but you could have an action comedy movie, action movie with drama in it. This is my subgenres, so like last week we did body horror, and this week I want to take a look at my top 5 favorite supernatural horror films. So it's always really hard to whittle down to make these top 5 lists because there's so many. But these are what I try to do is I try to pick the 5 that really stay with me, like that resonated, that scared the crap out of you the first time you saw it, kind of thing, and you still enjoy watching it ever so often. So this week I'm doing supernatural horror, and I've tried to whittle it down. I cheated a little bit when it came to number 4. You guys will see what I mean. So let's just jump right into it. And guys, I'm going to be looking here because I made notes, so forgive me if you see my eyes straying a little bit. I'm going to start with my number 5, and that's John Carpenter's The Fog. Came out in 1980. This movie, I love John Carpenter. Guys, you're going to hear his name calling a lot. As you know, last week my number 1 favorite body horror film was The Thing. That's John Carpenter as well. So here we have The Fog, another movie that is near and dear to my heart. And I absolutely hated the remake. The remake is so friggin' bad. I don't even want to think about it. I have never been that angry in my life coming out of a cinema. And just the memory of it pisses me off. So, 1980, The Fog. And it's a movie about a small town. It's one of those harbor towns, and they have this festival every year. And while the priest is cleaning out the church, he finds buried in the wall of the church a diary of sorts. And it talks about how the townspeople who originally built the town, they got help from a guy. He was like a landowner, whatever. He had a lot of money, and the idea was he would give them the money to settle the town and build it up, and in return they would let him and his people live there. And instead they betrayed them, and they stole the money, and they I think they turned off the light from the lighthouse or something like that, and the ship sank and all of them died. So all these people are returning on the eve of this celebration. The ghosts are returning with this giant fog comes over the town, and it's the spirits of these dead people come to exact revenge. I just love this movie. I just thought it was awesome. The best thing, of course, about this movie is Adrienne Barbeau. I think this is where she kind of got famous from, is this movie. At least to me, that's where I first noticed her. And she's awesome in this movie. She is actually in the lighthouse. There's a radio station that she runs. She has this really sexy voice. And she's the one who notices the fog coming in. And it's unnatural because the way the fog is moving is not the way a natural fog would move. This movie has a lot of really cool, creepy elements to it. It's just very well shot. It's just, the death scenes are not like the goriest or the bloodiest or whatever, but again, it's that supernatural element that just made this movie so creepy, and it's just so well acted and so well done. I just love it. I watch it every year, at least once a year. I just love 1980s The Fog. And my number 4, this is where I cheated a little bit. I have 3 number 4s, right? And I grouped them together because to me, they come from the same kind of background. I have The Ring, The Grudge, and Shutter. All of these are Asian horror movies originally that were remade into American remakes. Whether you like the American remakes more, that's up to you. But when I'm talking about The Ring, The Grudge, and Shutter, Shutter is actually, I think it's like a Taiwanese horror film, and Shutter is absolutely, in my opinion, the most terrifying of the 3. I hope you haven't seen the remake. The remake is just oh god, another waste of time. Go watch the original. If you haven't seen it, don't stay away from the remake. Just see the original. I promise you will not be disappointed. Shutter is a movie about, you know what, the less you know the better, but it's about a guy and a girl who they come across. They're driving one night and they see a girl standing in the road. It nearly causes an accident, right? And let's just say the girl is linked to the couple in a way that they don't know, and I'll leave it like that. The less you know, the more it will creep you out. So Shutter is definitely, I think, one of the more terrifying supernatural films to come out of the whole Japanese horror system. While Samara might be Samara might be the more famous of the group, but definitely Shutter to me is the more terrifying of the three. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it for October. My number three, three, right? Yeah. My number three is a movie that I have watched once, and honestly, it disturbed me so much I haven't seen it since. The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Oh boy. The thing about it is, everybody has different kinds of horror. Sorry about that. Everybody has different kinds of horror that scare them, and for me, it's something about when you start to involve like demons and the devil and God or whatever, that's when things get really creepy to me. So The Exorcism of Emily Rose was one of those that really, really creeps me out. And it's not a movie that I find easy to watch. I think whenever a horror movie feels real, like they tell you it's based on true events, that's fine. But when it feels like it could actually happen, that's when it's truly terrifying. It's truly scary. And here we have a girl, and then that's another thing with possession movies. We have these innocent people. We have like Reagan in The Exorcist, which actually never really creeped me out. Strangely enough, Reagan and The Exorcist, so many other possession movies. Emily Rose is this sweet, innocent person. She does nothing to deserve this shit happening to her. And you know, you have whatever, the demons, Legion, Baal, whatever their names are, possessing this person and just messing with your life in a way that you just know you could never recover from. So for me, it's just so well acted. Laura Linney is in this as well. What's the actress who was in Dexter? She plays Emily Rose, and apparently she did all her own like contortion moves and stuff. She's just so good in this. It's so convincing, apparently, that they hired an actual exorcist to stay on set because the director, the cameraman, everybody was so freaked out by her performance. So you can imagine us, the audience, watching it. So for me, Emily Rose is one of those movies that I watched it once. I don't know if I will ever watch it again. That was Emily Rose for me. And that's gonna bring me to my number two. Another supernatural film with a demonic tilt to it, 1976, The Omen. Oh my god, that movie screwed me up when I was a kid. I saw a lot of horror movies when I really should not have, and The Omen is one of those that it's not so much story. There's some stuff that sticks with me, like that scene where the car accident and the plane of glass slices off the guy's head. But for me, what really like makes The Omen terrifying is the score. Oh my god, the music in that movie is the most terrifying thing I have ever heard, honestly. And it's not till recently with movies like Insidious and Conjuring where a lack of sound could be as terrifying as sound. Back then it was all about the music, all about the score. And that, you know, that whole Latin, like, whatever the hell they were saying, it was terrifying. It scared the crap out of me. And another reason, this is a movie that really scared me as a kid. Anything to do with the Bible would really scare me. When I was little, I was one of those kids that any talk about God or, you know, the devil would really, really scare me, because back then a lot of churches used to preach very Old Testament preaching. So it was all about fire and brimstone and, you know, God punishing you and that kind of thing. And that stuff used to terrify me. So The Omen, you know, the fact that Damien is the son of the devil. And not just that, it was one of the first horror movies that I'd ever seen where the bad guy lives, you know. Yes, I mean, you can argue that every horror movie ends with that cliffhanger, but this one felt real to me, you know, in the sense that he was this kid and that scene, he turns and he kind of smiles at the camera. it sent chills down my spine. I did not watch that movie again for more than a decade because that's how much it scared me as a kid. So definitely 1976 The Omen was my number 2. And my number 1 top supernatural horror movie is The Exorcist 3. Ah, caught you. You thought I was going to say The Exorcist Part 1. Nope. The Exorcist Part 3. Oh my god, that movie is awesome. And I think this year they actually released the Blu-ray. I think, I don't know how many years, 20 years, 25 years anniversary copy. The Exorcist Part 3, I think, is one of the most underrated horror movies of its time. And I think the reason for that is because The Exorcist Part 2 was so bad that it kind of soured people on the sequels. But if you haven't seen Part 3, go and watch it now. And the cool thing is, it doesn't really link to Part 1 and 2. It is a story that could stand on its own. Because you have this mental hospital, you know, and you have this mental patient who may or may not be possessed, you know. And the thing is, you have this is not just one side, the spiritual side. You have the psychological side too, because you're wondering if what is happening is supernatural or if this is just the insanity of the patient. And Brad Dourif is so scary. Before he was Chucky, he was the insane mental patient who was possessed in this movie. This movie has so many creepy scenes. It's so well shot. It has moments where you really think you should be looking here and everything happens here, so it scares the bejesus out of you. I watched it again recently and it is so good. The score, the acting, the story, everything works. And you see, for me, I don't know, to me The Exorcist was a bit, now mind you, I'm not taking away the brilliance of that movie and what that movie achieved, you know, but for me The Exorcist was never very scary because everything is kind of in your face. Reagan doesn't scare me, she never did. What scared me in that movie was more the quiet moments, like Pazuzu's face appearing in the kitchen and stuff like that creeps me out more, right? But The Exorcist 3, oh boy, that movie really digs its claws into your soul and creeps you the crap out, and I just love it. I think it's an awesome movie. I'm gonna watch it again soon, and I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't seen it. So that's gonna be my number 1, The Exorcist 3. It's 1990, so it's not that old a movie actually. I actually thought it was older than that. But it's right about, you know, into that 80s era of movies, so definitely check it out. My honorable mention is gonna be The Conjuring. You know, I think what I really like about The Conjuring is it revitalized horror in a time when horror movies had gotten so generic, and now these days everybody and their grandma could shoot a horror movie because it could be done so cheaply. But the problem is we're getting so much crap. It's flooded. The Conjuring, James Wan, he is one of the most prolific horror directors of this generation. He's just so awesome. And you can see how much he loves the genre in his work. In Insidious, in The Conjuring, he's done amazing things, you know. And I think The Conjuring is his stronger in all the series he's worked on. Saw is great, but you know, Saw is not, I'm not really into a lot of torture horror. I like Saw 1 and 2, and after that, whatever happened. The Conjuring, for me, he did amazing things with that movie. That movie is genuinely scary. It's very well acted, and it taps into the whole true story thing. So it works really well there. So that's my honorable mention, The Conjuring. So that's my top 5 supernatural horror movies, guys. Let me know which top 5 horror movies you love, supernatural horror movies you love. If I forgot anything, please feel free to comment about it, and please enjoy your October. October is such a fun month for me. It's just horror 24/7. So top 5 next week will be, I think, psychological horror. And until then, see you guys. Bye bye.